Welcome to Bothwell Parish Church, one of the most ancient and beautiful churches in all of Scotland. Locally, it's often referred to as being the cathedral of Lanarkshire, and we are very proud to be the oldest collegiate church in Scotland in which worship is still held. Christian worship has been celebrated here for over 1,000 years, be it Roman Catholic or Episcopalian just after the Reformation, and of course presently Presbyterian. 800 years ago, the Norman building here was 3 times the size it presently now is. Twice in its history, the tower that rises high above us has collapsed over the building, causing it to be rebuilt each time by the faithfulness and devotion of each generation. Now we have a new challenge. The building of the choir behind is calling on the loyalty of the present generation towards a major restoration. The problem seems to be these great stone slabs that cover the roof of the choir. Their great weight has been bearing down on the walls, and over the long years has caused them to move and to buckle. And so restoration work is vital and urgent, or else we may lose the use of the choir forever. Fortunately, we have 2 of the very best advisors it's possible to have. Roger Taylor, one of the leading conservation architects in Scotland. John Hume, formerly Her Majesty's Chief Inspector of Buildings for Historic Scotland and a Professor of Architecture at the Universities of St Andrews and Glasgow.
Well, I think the whole church is very important historically, but this is the oldest part. It's also an extremely good example of a church with a stone slab roof. There are relatively few of these, and it's a very interesting technique which was adopted mainly in the 15th century, it continued into the 16th century. It's a very good kind of roof because it's very waterproof if it's properly made, but it's very heavy, and I think that's part of the problem that we're encountering now. It's such a heavy roof, it tends to push the walls out, which is what's happening here. And it's a very fine piece of design. It's a good interior and it's got some lovely architectural details, both internally and externally. The architectural details of the exterior have been largely repaired or replaced over the years because, of course, it's a fairly soft stone that you've got. But inside you've got the sacristy door, which is lovely. You've got the ribs on the vault, which are very fine. And of course you've got these magnificent monuments which are covered up at the moment, but they are among the most important monuments of the period anywhere in Scotland.
When you're doing this kind of work, you're also trying to do the minimum intrusion that you need to do to keep the building in a good state of repair. One of the problems we have here at Bothwell is that the roof has suffered movement, not just movement because of the weight, but there has also been movement of the backing immediately behind these stone tiles. The tiles are upper and lower tiles. They are very much the same. They're not identical, but they're very much the same. The upper tiles weigh somewhere around about 110 kilograms each. The lower tiles, they weigh somewhere 150, 160 kilograms. So they are heavy lumps of stone to manoeuvre.
The real challenge for the architect is to provide the necessary strengthening on the advice of an engineer that will hold the building together for the next 500 years or so, which is perfectly possible.
Throughout its history, the church here at Bothwell has had many royal connections. Most recently, we were privileged to be able to welcome Her Majesty's representative to the General Assembly of the Church of Scotland, Lord Selkirk of Douglas. By coincidence, it was his ancestor way back in the 14th century who caused the choir to be rebuilt.
Yes, this is one of the most beautiful churches in Scotland, and of course there is a strong family connection because Lord James Douglas took the heart of King Robert the Bruce towards the Holy Land and lost his life in Tiber in Spain. And his son Archibald, who was nicknamed Archibald the Grim, was a very major benefactor to the church, and he helped build the chapel here. And this is a very historic church, and it is right that we should do everything possible to protect it, as it's a very important part of Scotland's religious heritage. We have extremely beautiful churches in Scotland, and this is one of the most foremost of those, and it is right we should do everything possible to try and protect and enhance and conserve our historic heritage, and I feel sure that it will happen.
I think it's extremely important. I think it's among the finest medieval buildings in the southwest of Scotland, and I think it's very important that it should be preserved for future generations.
My view is we have to. As John Hume's already said, the building is so important that it is a large part of Scotland and indeed Britain's history. The question as to can the church get the money together, I would very much hope so.
And that's now our task. Just as people of previous generations have done in restoring this building as best as they could, we too want to restore the building of the choir as best we can, for all to enjoy. Not just because it forms part of this great church, but far more importantly than that, because it is part of the very fabric of the history and culture and tradition of Scotland itself. If you feel you would like to help us in this task, would you please look up our church website, where you'll find information to help you.